Welcome back to Mystery and Murder, the podcast where we unravel the most gripping and notorious cases. We go beyond the headlines, diving deep into the lives of both victims and perpetrators, exploring what drives them, what breaks them, and the lessons we can learn from their stories. In our past episode, we began exploring the case of Gabby Petito, the young woman whose tragic disappearance and brutal murder at the hands of her boyfriend, Brian Laundrie, captured worldwide attention. At this point in the case, Brian and Gabby have embarked on what sounds like the adventure of a lifetime. A journey via van. They set out on July 2nd, 2021. The couple planned to visit national parks and document their travels on social media and Gabby's YouTube channel, which she cleverly named Nomadic Static. Now, soon after their journey began, Gabby started documenting their trip, posting photos on Instagram. In retrospect, these photos take on a haunting quality. But at face value, they present a young woman who looks like she's living her best life. On the 4th of July, Gabby posed between the Monument Rocks in Kansas. 4 days later, Gabby stood in front of a flower mural in Colorado Springs, beaming. An excursion to the Great Sand Dunes followed. Then the couple gets to Utah, to Zion National Park. The photos of Gabby in these posts look straight out of a catalog. She smiles at the camera, looking like she's one with nature as she poses in the canyons. In one photo taken by Brian, a heavenly beam of light cuts diagonally across the frame, appearing to shine directly above her head. There were photos of Brian and Gabby together, too. Brian and Gabby smiling, the picturesque Bryce Canyon National Park in the background. There's Brian and Gabby kissing in the mystic hot springs of Monroe, Utah. Another photo shows the two staring lovingly into each other's eyes, hands clasped while on the Mesa Arch hike. Gabby's caption underneath stating, "Live more with less." As an outsider looking in, you might see these photos and think, wow. Now this is a couple who is doing exactly what they set out to do. They're living the dream and documenting it every step of the way. Look how happy and in sync they are. The entire trip, Gabby was making content for her YouTube channel, documenting their journey in hopes of building a career as a travel influencer. In the Netflix documentary I executive produced about her life, we get to see the behind-the-scenes clips of Gabby and Brian together. Some filled with joy, others revealing moments of definite tension. Vlogging was a new venture for Gabby, and she was learning as she went. The footage captures her making mistakes. True to human nature, sometimes Gabby laughs them off, and other times we see she's being hard on herself. In one clip, she bemoans accidentally cutting her face out of a shot. In another, she laughs and says, "I suck at this." Despite these moments of self-criticism, it's clear that Gabby was a natural on camera. Sweet, engaging, and eager to share her experiences. Whether it was meal prepping, exploring the salt flats, or just showcasing the ins and outs of van life. She wasn't just filming for fun. This was her passion, and she hoped it would be her future career. Gabby was determined to capture great footage and make great content for her online audience. This trip wasn't just an adventure, she also viewed it as a work opportunity, and she wanted to give it her all. Now think about it, before this, she had been working in a fast food restaurant. And while that's honest work and good work, this was the great outdoors, and she was passionate. Brian, on the other hand, well, he just didn't seem as invested. In fact, Gabby had previously told her best friend Rose that he didn't think that the van life vlog, was such a good idea, telling Gabby that he found the concept stupid. And in case I'm stumbling on the word, I'm saying vlog, and that's V-L-O-G, and that's a video log. The scenes and footage that we see in the doc depict just how different Brian and Gabby seem in their daily interactions than what was being shown on her Instagram page. Of course they put the best foot forward on the Instagram page, but in the documentary, we get to see, well, the not quite so polished version. Even when Brian is smiling on film, he doesn't seem as at ease. And there are different kinds of smiles. There are those that are natural and they use different muscles in the face, and then there are those that are forced and phony. At a few points, even the phony smile goes away, and annoyance flashes across his face when Gabby says something he doesn't like, or when she lightly, clearly jokingly criticizes him. During a car ride, he seems to deliberately interrupt her when he can tell she's trying to narrate for her vlog. Now, in reality, the magic and freedom of exploration wasn't helping Gabby and Brian's already erratic relationship. Behind those shiny, happy photos and video clips, tensions were rising. Now, look, social media, you know it can be misleading. Oftentimes, influencers have told me they'll take hundreds of photos before they get the one they want to post. I've spoken about the dangers of social media previously on Fill in the Blanks. According to Pew Research Center, 69% of adults and 81% of teens in the United States use social media. This puts a large amount of the population at an increased risk of feeling anxious, depressed, or ill over their use of social media. And here's the problem. We tend to compare our reality with other people's social mask. We compare who we know we really are with other people's curated, produced, polished, sometimes even filtered, projected image. Social media platforms showcase highly edited, highly posed, produced, and curated moments, making it seem like everyone else's life is perfect. And this creates really unrealistic expectations and comparisons. We live in a comparison culture, seeing others' seemingly perfect relationships or careers or lifestyles, and that can lead to really unhealthy comparisons and feelings of inadequacy. And then we measure ourselves through likes and comments, the number of clicks your pictures get, and how many times somebody shares it with others can dictate self-worth, making people feel pressure to not only share content that will get positive engagement, but to also strive harder and harder to reach that next level of pleasing people you don't even know. And then are these filtering and editing tools, apps that provide a way to make yourself look better, distort reality, making people feel like they need to use these things because their real self just doesn't measure up. They have to fit some ideal. And then there's FOMO. Oh yeah, FOMO. F-O-M-O. The fear of missing out. Constant exposure to others' exciting trips, social events, achievements, experiences can create anxiety about not doing enough or being enough that we just get so afraid that life is passing us by. So what happens is these images go out and it hides real life. It hides struggles. It hides imperfections. Because people only post not just good moments, but false good moments. And it's just a lack of authenticity. And it doesn't spark authentic conversations about challenges, bad days, failures. And this influencer pressure, influencers, particularly those that become successful enough that they're celebrities in their own right, and they just appear flawless and so successful that you just can't ever measure up, not in terms of beauty, fitness, or success. And so there's this perceived need for aesthetic lives. Social media trends push the idea that even the simplest daily routines, like getting a coffee, working out, or putting together your outfit, should look picture perfect. We have become a bit narcissistic, I'm afraid. We just think everything needs to be in front of a camera. And couples post idealized images of love, making people feel like their own mundane relationships just don't measure up. And this could not have been more true in the case of Gabby and Brian. Boy, you can just run out of things to post. There's just not enough. Coming up, the number one tool of the abuser is isolation. Tax day has passed, but for many Americans, the trouble's just beginning. If you missed the April 15th deadline or still owe back taxes, listen up. The IRS is filing over 5,000 new tax liens daily. And with tools like property seizures, bank levies, and wage garnishments, they're applying pressure at levels we haven't seen in years. But Tax Network USA has you covered. You can still regain control. Your consultation is free. Acting now could stop penalties, threatening letters, and surprise levies from escalating. Call 1-800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. That's DRPHIL. The deadline has passed, so let Tax Network USA help before the IRS makes the next move. That's 800-958-1000 or tnusa.com/Dr. Phil. And then we get into something called reflexive biting. You know, this comes from comparative psychology. Let me explain what I mean. You can take very docile mice, 3 or 4 little docile mice that you could pick up and play with in your hands. You can put them in a cage, maybe 2 foot square. They get along fine. But now you add 4 more mice, and they seem to get a little edgy. You add 4 more where now they're crowded. There's not enough space. And these docile mice start reflexively biting each other. And you know, comparative psychology often predicts what will happen with humans. Now think about it. You've got a couple here that we've seen evidence of. Brian, who's very insecure, very possessive, very controlling, and very intolerant of any signs or shows of independence on Gabby's part. He needs to be in control. He needs to feel like he is running the show and that he is the focal point of everything she thinks, says, and does. So constantly afraid he's losing his grip. Now, when they're both in the world, she goes to work, he goes and does whatever he does, lots of space, some separation and decompression. But now the two of them are in a mid-sized van. There is no escape. They're on top of each other every minute of every hour of every day. And they can really start to feel closed in. Are we starting to see reflexive biting? And I think we now know the answer is yes. In a journal entry, Gabby wrote, "I feel bad for Brian that I'm always on my phone. I should give Brian more attention. He loves me so much. I don't deserve it, but I'm lucky he sticks with me. This is Gabby trying to explain away and take the blame for his insecurities, which abused people often do. They blame themselves. And in episode 1, I said that I believe this was an abusive relationship that just had not been labeled. Gabby was being abused. She was being over-controlled. She had been gaslit and made to feel that it was all her fault. What's flattering jealousy in the beginning becomes domination and control. Gabby's friend Rose thought that Gabby was making attempts to convince herself that everything was okay when that couldn't have been further from the truth. And while Gabby initially stayed in contact with Rose during the road trip, Rose was starting to feel Gabby creating a distance between them. And she didn't know quite why. Well, I can tell you why. The number one tool of the abuser is isolation. They isolate their victim by taking away their connection to the outside world. They exercise control over their social interactions, and the abuser tries to dictate who their partner can see or talk to. They discourage friendships. They discourage family connections. They don't want anybody that might strengthen the victim of their abuse. Anyone that might hit the reset button and let them know, hey, wait a minute, I'm hearing something in your voice I don't like. What are you feeling guilty about? Why are you doing this? That's not okay. Listen, we love you. You're smart and capable and sharp and strong. You don't need to be down on yourself like this. The only person you're around is your partner. They must be making you feel this way. Take back your control. Brian could not possibly risk somebody fortifying her self-esteem, her independence, her self-worth. So they have to make their partner feel guilty for spending any time with anybody other than them. So was she saying she felt guilty for being on her phone so much? Yes, because he made sure she did. Framing it as, you're on your phone, you're neglecting our friendship. You could be spending that time with me. So they seek to create conflicts with family and loved ones. They cause drama and tension between their partner and their friends or family. They drive a wedge in there so the target of their abuse turns to them for comfort. They monitor their communications, check their messages and call logs, watch their social media to control and limit outside contacts, and they're constantly undermining their self-worth. You're nothing without me. We are a couple. You have to stay with me. It can make the victim feel unworthy of love and support, causing them to withdraw from the world and become dependent on them. And that encouragement of dependence is just another way of control. It isn't love, it's manipulation. They are reinforcing emotional and logistical dependence. And it's the same thing with physical contact. In extreme cases, they may forbid or even use force or threats to prevent their partner from seeing others. Now, in this case, Brian, he must have thought he had won the lottery because he had her in this van. They could drive for hours. He could say anything and nobody was there to give her validation or to give her a check. No reality check for her. He had her isolated, programming her, manipulating her mentally, emotionally, physically. Just like when he stole her ID so she couldn't go out. Her making a friend was at his expense. And he would punish her for doing so, behave hostile and cold toward her and her friends. So he had her isolated. He had her exactly where he wanted her, in this van, on the highway. She knew nobody. He was the only one for her to turn to, only one to depend on for support. When it came to their van life trip, these two couldn't have been more isolated, and that was Brian's dream. But he still didn't have all of her attention because she was on her phone working on pictures, trying to figure out how to make this vlog successful. And every moment she did that, instead of staring at him, was a problem. A problem that leads us to the pivotal day in this case, August 12, 2021. At this point, Gabby and Brian have been on the road for 41 days, locked in this van with nobody but each other. Coming up, a 911 caller reports a domestic dispute. Have you checked your home title recently? Many homeowners never have, leaving themselves vulnerable. Scammers can steal your home title, forge your signature, and target your equity. Protect yourself from fraud before it's too late. Secure your title and your financial future today. You won't even know it's happened until it's too late. Ensure you're not a victim. Use promo code PHIL at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any change, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code PHIL. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code PHIL. While Gabby and Brian were in Moab, which is in Utah, a 911 caller reported a domestic dispute between the two of them near Moonflower Co-op, a local grocery store. Take a listen. 911 caller reports a domestic dispute. Now think about this. Somebody's driving by and this is serious enough that they call 911.
Grant County Sheriff's Office.
Hi, I'm calling. I'm right on the corner of Main Street by Moonflower, and we're driving by, and I'd like to report a domestic dispute. Florida with the white van, Florida license plate, white van, gentleman,
Where's it at?
5'6" beard. They just drove off. They're going down Main Street. They made a right onto Main Street from Moonflower.
Or what were they doing?
Cooperative, but what'd you say?
What were they doing?
We drove by, and the gentleman was slapping the girl.
He was slapping her?
Yes, and then we stopped. They ran up and down the sidewalk. He proceeded to hit her, hopped in the car, and they drove off.
Okay, you said it's a white van?
White van. I can give you the license plate if you give me 1 sec. I took a picture of it.
What kind of white van? Like a big one?
It was a smaller van with the license plate of, it was white, Florida license plate QFT G03. It was, the make was a Ford, model was Transit, black ladder on the passenger side.
Black ladder, passenger side.
White Ford Transit.
White Ford Transit. And where did they, so they turned, they headed south on Main Street from Moonflower Market?
Correct. They made the right turn.
Oh, so they went north.
North. Yeah, sorry, I'm not from around here.
Okay, so you're right there by the post office?
Right across the street, yep.
Okay, and when they turned onto Main Street, they went right or left?
Right.
Right, so they went north. North on Main. All right, I will let somebody know. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Bye.
Thanks.
So a witness sees this. Brian physically assaulting Gabby, slapping her. And he does the right thing. He calls 911. It wasn't even a close call for him. It's a no-brainer. He saw a woman being physically abused and did the right thing. He reported it. And police caught up with Brian and Gabby in their van, pulling them over by the side of the road. Now, since then, body cam footage from that police encounter has been released. And, oh boy, does it speak volumes. The first thing that's evident from this footage is that Gabby is sobbing uncontrollably, clearly in a state of distress. Take a listen to some of the most important exchanges that transpired during this roughly hour and 15-minute interaction between Gabby, Brian, and the Moab police.
You want to place your vehicle in the park and go ahead and turn it off for me?
Yeah, sure.
No, park?
Oh, it isn't park yet.
Okay, turn off your engine. Go ahead and set your keys on the dash for me, all right? What's your guys' names?
Gabby.
I'm Brian.
Gabby, Brian? Okay. What's going on? How come you're crying?
I'm sorry, we've just been fighting this morning. Some personal issues.
It was a long day. We were camping yesterday, and camping got just out flies and stuff. I'm sorry I hit the bump there.
I was distracting him from driving, I'm sorry.
Can I get you to step out of the vehicle for me, man?
Yeah.
Just hang tight right there. Do you mind if I take your keys and just put them on your hood?
You got it. I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you. Oh, no, you're fine. I'm going to go ahead and close your door, okay? Why don't you come over here? SO229, I have the female that was on the passenger seat separated from the male. Keys are on the hood. You want to tell me what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, some days I have really bad OCD, and I was just cleaning and straightening up the back of the van before, and I was apologizing to him and saying, I'm sorry that I'm so mean, because sometimes I have OCD, and sometimes I can get really frustrated. Not like mean towards him, I just like, I guess my vibe is like, I hear him be like in a bad mood. And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because
he
of your OCD?
told me I needed to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time. And he really stresses me out. And this is a rough morning.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I sit you down in the back seat of my car? You're not in any trouble, okay? I'm not going to be putting handcuffs on you. You obviously don't have any weapons. I'm going to get you into the air conditioning, let you take a breath, relax a little bit, and then I'll come back and talk to you in a few minutes, okay?
Okay.
Alrighty. Like I said, you're not in any trouble. So just go ahead and take a seat.
My fiance, right?
What's that?
You talked to Gabby already?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So, you want to do me a favor? Let's go ahead and get you to step out of the vehicle, alrighty? Come on over here. You're not in any trouble right now. So, tell me what's going on.
She just gets worked up sometimes, and I try and really distance myself from her. So like I lock the car and I walk away from her. What happened this morning is that she's trying to start up like her own little website blog and everything. So I give her time. We really had a nice morning if anything, but she just got worked up because we were trying to get going and get our day going because we want to go like arches before the summer time.
Okay. You want to tell me about those scratches on your face?
She had a cell phone in her hand. That's why I was pushing her away, because she wanted I locked the keys so I could walk away. I said, let's just take a breather and let's not go anywhere. Let's just calm down for a minute because she was getting a little worked up. And then she had her phone and was trying to get the keys to me, so I got in the way. I was just trying to, I know I shouldn't push, but I was just trying to push her away to go, let's just take a minute, step back and breathe. And she got me with her phone.
Can I see your hand? Oh, you got a mark right here.
Oh, that's from a wire.
That's from a wire?
Yeah.
You want to tell me about hitting that curb?
Hitting the curb was her grabbing the wheel.
She grabbed the wheel?
Yeah. She said, I can't believe we're getting pulled over, and then she grabbed the wheel.
What about the speed? Did she take over the... Did
No,
she take over the pedal on you?
If I was going fast, I'm sorry. No, it's probably just the moment of, like, I'm still shaking now. The adrenaline, seeing the lights flashing up, and then her gripping the wheel. So if I sped up, I'm sorry about that. Or if I was speeding beforehand, I'm sorry about that.
Coming up, he's a martyr. He's a victim. He's a martyr. The entire time throwing her under the bus. Let's cut to the chase. Your savings could be in serious trouble. When Elon Musk is out here warning us to brace for temporary hardship, you might want to listen. I trust Preserve Gold to safeguard my accounts, and I urge you to do the same. They're the only precious metals company I recommend. Are you going to sit back and hope for the best or take control of your financial future? Text Dr. Phil to 50505 to get your free precious metals guide from Preserve Gold. With gold prices recently breaking records and analysts predicting this trend to continue through 2025, you cannot afford to wait. As a bonus, you can get up to $15,000 with a qualified purchase from Preserve Gold. So don't wait. Text Dr. Phil to 50505. That's DRPHIL to 50505 today. So, as the police continue to question Brian and Gabby, separately as they should have, about what happened, this is what Brian had to say about their altercation that was reported by that 911 caller.
We just had a little disagreement there. And the disagreement was just that she was getting a little worked up, and I was saying, "No, it's okay. Thank you so much."
Okay, as long as it's cool, that's good.
So it was just more of a disagreement, and I just wanted to.
What was the disagreement about?
It was. I wouldn't even call it disagreement. It was just that I'm dirty and I can't change being dirty. Like I got dirty feet, I got sand on my flip flops and stuff like that. It was that we were at the coffee shop for so long because we were there from 9 to 3. So yeah, there's a few little things, little relationships. I don't know if you're in a relationship, but I'm sure you
I've been married for over 5 years now. So.
There's a lot of little things.
Yeah, I can go.
And
I get it.
We really we weren't physical before the point where I said, all right, let's just take a breather and like walk away for a minute. I'll lock the van up and I'll go for a walk this way, and you can go walk that way on the block. You know, there's that what is it called, moonflower?
Right.
Yeah, nice areas. You can go either way. It's all shaded, so let's go for a little walk and breathe and come back. Because we're happy with it. I'm not upset with her. She got worked up and she had a phone in her hand and her keys and everything. And she wanted, not her keys, like her rings, her phone. And I was holding on to the keys because I didn't want to go anywhere. And my big fear is, I don't have my phone. I don't have my phone. So she goes off without me. I'm on my own. So I was saying, let's just go for a walk, and she was trying to get the keys for me. So I was just going, just wait, back up, and that's when she hit me. And I didn't get. I don't want to push you, but I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit. And then I got really loud, and like that's probably drew everyone's attention. Where I was going, back up, get away, just give me a.
Okay, so you said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened after that? What got the scratches on your eye?
The phone.
The phone. So you pushed her and she hit you?
It wasn't like a push and she jumped on me. She was already, I don't know, she was already swinging, and I was a lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of rings.
Yeah, you got 3 scratches in your neck. You got one on your left side of your nose. You got one in your face here, and you got 4 bleeding over there. So it looks like 2 hands.
Do you mind lifting up your right sleeve for me? I'm curious about something.
What's that from? I suppose fingernails, but I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining about
Is
fingernails.
it bruised or tender or anything like
No.
that?
Okay. I'm fine, and I love Gabby. I hope she doesn't have too many complaints about me. I'm just, I feel bad I had to get so public. I was just trying to be loud to listen. This is, I try to make her calm down and be like, look, everyone's watching. And like, stop this.
Now, hearing it is one thing, but the actual footage shown in the documentary makes this even more shocking. Gabby was understandably, visibly and audibly upset when she was talking to the police. She had just been assaulted. And there's no doubt there had also been ongoing verbal altercations between them. Brian, meanwhile, appears completely calm, relaxed even. So let's assess what's going on here. If you look at the body cam, Brian's behavior appeared calm and in control during the police interaction, even attempting to joke around. Now, he smiled throughout the interaction. People can have different ideas about this. They can say he's trying to con them. He's trying to bond with them. They can say that this is what some people do when they're anxious. Well, here's another theory. It's called duper's delight. Duper's delight is when somebody thinks they've gotten away with something. They think they've committed a transgression, sometimes even murder. And the thought that they're conning the authority, the thought that they believe, hey, this is going okay, they just can't help but smirk. He even laughed often. Some analysts believe that his demeanor could indicate that manipulative behavior, his bid to portray himself as, hey, I'm the rational partner here. I'm with this emotional woman. So he's subtly casting Gabby in a negative light. The emotional woman, hey, I'm the rational guy. Hey, we understand each other, right? We all know women that get like this. He's just kind of like, hey, bro. Note how he said to the police, I hope she doesn't have too many complaints about me. Now, to me, that sounds like his way of trying to remain in control, as in, she better not be saying anything bad about me. He blamed Gabby. Brian told officers Gabby was upset and had been hitting him during an argument, framing her as the aggressor. He also claimed she had grabbed the steering wheel, creating danger while he was driving. Now, at the same time, he does what in psychology we call undoing. You know, he says all this. He described Gabby as crazy and worked up due to anxiety, making light of the conflict and suggesting that, hey, she was struggling emotionally, rather than acknowledging that this takes two to tango, any wrongdoing on his part. So he's saying, yes, this got out of hand, but, you know, come on. I mean, she's just emotional. She'll be okay. I'll handle this. Don't worry about it. It's kind of like, oh, she's okay. Like he's seemingly apologizing for her when he's actually indicting her. It's seeming like, hey, I've told you all this stuff. She attacked me. She grabbed the steering wheel. She was hitting me. But she's just an emotional female. It's okay. So he indicts her in one breath and then seemingly tries to take it back in the other. Very manipulative. He takes only partial responsibility, sort of. While portraying Gabby as emotionally, he admitted he had pushed her to create distance between them. In other words, she's out of control, and I'm just trying to hold her at bay. I wasn't participating. I was just restraining. I was just trying to keep her at bay so I could drive. He portrayed himself as a victim. He repeatedly emphasized that he was trying to calm her down and claimed that he didn't want to press charges. It's like, look, I'm the victim here, but it's okay. It's like he's standing up for the girl he loves. He's a martyr. He's a victim. He's a martyr. The entire time throwing her under the bus. Now, Gabby, on the other hand, has learned her role very well. She's blaming herself. She repeatedly apologized and took responsibility for the incident, saying, I was distracting him. I'm sorry. She admitted to hitting him. She acknowledged that she had hit Brian first, but said it was because he told her to calm down, and she got frustrated. She told the officer she was struggling with OCD and anxiety, explaining that she sometimes got overwhelmed and stressed while traveling. And later on, when I spoke to Gabby's father about this, he said she was using the term OCD loosely, kind of like we do when we are just in normal conversation and we talk about wanting everything to be right, and we say, oh, yeah, man, I clean out my car, and we're just pretty OCD about it, you know. We don't mean obsessive compulsive disorder with obsessive thoughts that we can't get out of our mind and compulsive behaviors that we have to perform before we can move on to the next thing. This is a disruptive disorder that keeps us from pursuing regular things in our life. She said Brian grabbed her face. She mentioned that Brian had grabbed her face during their argument, which left a scratch on her cheek. She talked about relationship struggles. She described how they had been arguing more frequently due to the stress of traveling. Remember what I said about reflexive biting, and that Brian didn't believe in her vlog. He just didn't believe in it, that was adding tension. She didn't want to be separated. She was visibly upset about the idea of being taken away from Brian for the night and seemed desperate to reconcile with him. This attachment to Brian, despite their strife and his abuse, is frequently seen in abuse victims. Her emotional state and self-blame contributed to the officers perceiving her as a primary aggressor, leading them to treat the situation as a mental health issue rather than domestic violence. So the Moab police did not arrest Brian because, with his manipulation and her self-incrimination, which you often see from the victim in an abusive situation, the police decided they would split the two up for the night to let them cool off. The problem? Experts later said the officers missed signs of coercive control and abuse, and that this decision may have contributed to Gabby losing her life. Now, actually, I think signs of an abusive relationship had been missed for a long time. Because as I mentioned in episode 1, I think this was an abusive relationship way before they ever left. As we saw with his control, manipulation through jealousy, taking her wallet, guilt induction, attempts to intervene in relationships she was having with other people, all these signs that were evidence of his insecurity. I think it was that panic and insecurity that made him so desperate that he ultimately went to desperate measures. So when Gabby soon goes missing, it's horrifying knowing that just a couple of weeks prior she had been in the presence of law enforcement, in front of people charged with keeping the public safe, and she was standing in front of them with her abusive boyfriend. Now, clearly, we have the benefit of 20/20 hindsight here, but these are people that are trained, and they had a woman and her abuser in front of them. Now, on its face, she's saying, I started this. On its face, she's saying, it's my fault. I don't want to be away from him. But I have to say, that's pretty much abused female 101. Gabby did speak to her mother, Nicole, about the incident, but Gabby downplayed the situation, not indicating to her mother that she was in danger or had been involved in a serious altercation, and she wanted to downplay it. Why? Because she didn't want it to be true. She wanted this to work. She wanted this to be successful. She had committed her life to this. She wanted this vlog and this whole journey to turn into something meaningful for her. She didn't want to send up flares where people that cared about her would say, "You need to stop this and come home right now," because that would be admitting failure. Nicole would only find out about the 911 call reporting the slap later. And her mother not being there, not seeing this, all she had to go on was what Gabby was telling her. Nicole questioned why Gabby was being made to stay in her van alone while Brian was put up in a hotel. It turns out police had placed him in a hotel for domestic violence victims. Now, this is where I had a hard time understanding the logic of this situation. You've got an altercation that has taken place. Clearly, both of them are involved in being physical. Regardless of how you describe it's going down, and you make a decision to leave a young woman alone in a van in a place that she is not familiar with and put the young man in a hotel. That did not make sense to me. Nicole had tried to persuade Gabby to come home, but Gabby said she wanted to continue the trip. As I said, this was a big deal to her. This was a career undertaking. She was invested in this. In hindsight, her family believes she was trying to both protect Brian and avoid worrying them, in addition to how much she wanted this to succeed. So she wasn't going to give them all the facts. And she really wasn't being as honest with herself because she wanted desperately for this to work. When Gabby's father, Joe Petito, appeared on my show, he had no knowledge of this altercation happening. Keep in mind, he first appeared when Gabby was still missing. He was desperate to find her. He knew something was wrong. Were you aware that they had an encounter with the police on August 12th?
I wasn't, and that's not something you're going to tell your dad. Because if you tell your dad something like this, I'm going to fix it. I'm an overprotective dad. If I find my daughter's upset, I'm going to come out there real quick, and I'm going to handle that problem.
When did you find out about it, and how did you find out about it?
Through the media. That's why it's hard for me to bring myself to watch the whole thing. Because when I see my daughter like that, it's hard to handle. And I really got to focus. And to be honest, all that stuff comes second. Like, that's problem number 2. Right now, problem number 1 is get Gabby home, right? I can ask her those questions when I have her here next to me.
Right.
Until then, all that stuff doesn't matter, because I talked to her afterwards. Her mom has talked to her afterwards. I FaceTimed her, all this stuff. And she was working really hard, really, really hard on that website. So I get stresses and all this stuff, but no, something like that, you're not going to tell your pop.
So those are the last days where we can properly track Gabby Petito's whereabouts. On September 1st, Brian Laundrie returns home to Florida in Gabby's white van. Gabby, however, is not with him. Where was she? How could she be missing when she was with Brian the whole time? 2 people leave in Gabby's van. Brian comes home in Gabby's van without Gabby and says he doesn't know where she is. Now, this should send off warning flags, and believe you me, it did. Before long, Gabby Petito would become a household name, with America and beyond wondering where this young woman was and why her fiancé was utterly silent in the wake of her disappearance. On our next episode of Mystery and Murder, Gabby Petito's family leaps into action, sounding the alarm to anyone who will listen that their daughter has not returned home. Meanwhile, the Laundrie family shuts down and lawyers up, and the investigation takes a chilling and tragic turn. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Phil. This is Mystery and Murder, analysis by Dr. Phil. If you or someone you know has experienced domestic abuse, information and resources are available at wannatalkaboutit.com. And trust me, when you call, people don't pressure you. They don't push you to do something you're not ready to do, but they listen. They offer information that you can use if and when you want to do it. That's wannatalkaboutit.com.